What's up everyone, it's Ben from the Vinyl Jukebox, and in today's video I'm going to show you my top 5 Firebox records. Before we get started, if you haven't done so already, please leave a like and a comment on this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, all that good stuff so you can stay updated with all my videos. So what is a Firebox record? Well, I'm going to tell you. A Firebox is basically a term that I'm taking from Dylan from Noble Records. I've seen him mention this a few times in his videos, and a Firebox is basically a box of records that you would take if, God forbid, there was some sort of fire or emergency. These are the first records that you would take with you on your way out. Now, obviously, records would be my last priority if that were to happen. But it's always fun to think about what are my top records in my collection that I could not live without. So the records I'm about to show are not necessarily the most valuable records in my collection, but they are some of the most meaningful to me and also some of the most difficult to replace if I would have to replace them. All right, so first up on my Firebox records, we have the Misfits Walk Among Us. This is a 1988 pressing of this album, and as you can see, it's signed by their guitar player Doyle on the album as well as on this ticket stub, and you can see Doyle right here. And getting this album signed was a really interesting story. Right after I saw the Misfits, the original Misfits, play the Prudential Center in 2018, it was announced that Doyle, the guitar player, would be doing a signing at a store called I Need More, which is in the Village in the city. No longer there anymore, unfortunately, but a really cool rock and roll shop. So the day after the show, we went over to the city, we stood in line, we got to meet Doyle. He signed multiple items for me, so it was really cool. We got a picture with him. Amazing experience, just adding on to how amazing the show was the day before. So amazing album in my collection. Probably would not be able to get this signed again if I had to. So first Firebox record, Misfits, Walk Among Us. All right, next up, and this one's really cool. This is Ramones, Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight. This is signed by 3 of 4 Ramones. We have Joey Ramone here at the bottom, Johnny Ramone in the middle, and Marky Ramone up top. Only one that's missing would be Dee Dee Ramone, who unfortunately is no longer with us, so would not be able to sign this album. I did not get this signed in person. I bought this at a local shop, actually traded in some records to get it, and I'm really happy I did because Joey and Johnny are no longer with us, so their signatures are very hard to get. But this is very meaningful to me because I love the Ramones, and it's just an awesome piece of rock and roll history to have. So Ramones, Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight. Definitely taking this with me for my Firebox. All right, next up, and I've shown this in a video before, this is ACDC Powerage. This is a promo copy with the gold stamp up top, as well as the timing strip below. And I've shown this in a video before. Not only is this one of my favorite ACDC albums, if not my favorite, this also is cool because it includes a press kit, including a bio from the band, and a photo of the band, which this exact photo would actually later be used for the Highway to Hell album artwork. Except it doesn't have Angus's horns. The horns on Angus's head were added for that album cover. But just a really cool version of this album. Hard to find, especially with the press kit. I've never seen it with the press kit before. So yes, definitely another album that I would take with me. All right, next up, and I've shown this again in a previous video, this is my Led Zeppelin 2 RL copy. Now, if you don't know what an RL copy is, RL on the dead wax of the record, if you see RL, that basically means that it was mastered by Robert Ludwig, and it was one of the first, it was a first pressing. And what happened with the first pressings, in a nutshell, and if you're a record collector, you know this story already. If you're not, the first pressings of this album were pressed too hot Grooves, I believe, were too deep on this album, which would cause people's record players at the time to skip. And basically this record was unplayable for turntables of that time, so they had to adjust it. But on modern turntables, this is one of the best sounding versions of Led Zeppelin 2. It's one of the most sought after. This is the RL on both sides pressing. It was an amazing find. The gatefold is perfect. VG++ copy of this, and definitely an essential in my collection. All right, and hopefully I didn't butcher that RL story. Just trying to tell it in a nutshell, but if you have any additions to that story that are important, leave them in the comments below. All right, last but not least, my copy of Guns N' Roses Live Like a Suicide EP. This is the original pressing of this, limited to 10,000 at the time, I believe, and I also learned recently that they pressed 10,000 cassette tapes as well. But this is the vinyl, and I bought this during the lockdown, during the pandemic, as many of us were doing. I was scrolling through eBay, you know, sitting there with not much to do, scrolling through eBay, not knowing what was going on, and came across this great condition copy of Guns N' Roses Live Like a Suicide. This was a grail for me for so long, and just decided to pull the trigger and picked it up, got a great price on it. And it was funny because it was shipped in a box that made me so nervous. The box was about the size of a small TV. And it was not in any sort of record mailer. It was just basically stuffed with newspaper, and there was the record. Luckily, nothing happened to it, but it definitely scared me when it came in the mail. So this one is definitely an essential. It's not signed or anything, but it's an essential for any Guns N' Roses fan, and I'll show the back cover to it as well. Yeah, original, one of the big grails for a Guns N' Roses collector, and this is definitely something that is in my Firebox, my essential Firebox. There you have it. Those are my top 5 Firebox records, and let me know in the comments below, what are your Firebox records? What are some albums that you could not live without, some albums that you could not replace? I'd love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments below. All right, everybody, before we go, please don't forget to leave a like and comment on this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, share it with your friends, all that good stuff. I'll see you next time, everybody.